Hello, everyone. I'm Ellie from Nourishment Redacted, and welcome to Lioness Lifestyle Live. Lioness Lifestyle interviews different meat-based and showcases their healing story through a keto or carnivore diet. We all come from different backgrounds and ages and even different healing journeys, but come together under the powerful healing of a meat-based diet. I'm a wife and mother of two young ones, 4 and 2, and I've been previously keto and then I was carnivore for a year and a half, and now I'm meat-based keto. Yay! And I used to be 240 pounds. I lost 70 pounds. I used to suffer from deep, dark depression and panic attacks. And now I'm medication free and happy to be alive with a purpose.
That's awesome, Ellie. And I am Cristie from Meeting Wellness, and it's definitely so nice to meet with all of you this evening. I'm a teacher from Southern California, a wife, and I'm a mother of two also, but I have two teenagers. I have been carnivore for a year and a half, and I have seen a reduction in my anxiety, my joint pain, my disordered eating patterns are gone, and I've had an incredible increase in my energy.
And hello, I'm Adrian Gledhill. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm so excited about this guest. A little bit about my background. I am a stay-at-home mom. I've got 4 kiddos, and I have been battling obesity and autoimmune conditions my whole life. And I've tried everything from being a contestant on The Biggest Loser to running half marathons and restricting, for making all my meals, having gastric bypass. And I finally landed on just really optimizing my hormones, my thyroid, my insulin, and coupling that with a carnivore diet. And that's been about 2 years. I'm so excited for tonight's guest. Thank you so much for being here.
And now it's time for something that we like to call the Roar of the Week. Here is our Roar of the Week from last week's show. It just says, so glad I found you guys. Thank you so much, Janice DeLong, for being this week's Roar of the Week. If you would like to be shouted out next week, then drop us a comment down below after the show is over. We will hunt through those and find someone to shout out on next week's show.
Perfect. And so we get the honor of welcoming Jenny Mitich back on the show. So everyone down in the comments, let's say hi to her and let's bring her on in.
So jazzy. Hello.
It's so fun. Welcome.
I love
welcome
it.
back.
I love your guys' intro. Thank you. I'm so happy to be back. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. So you have been on the show before, but can you please give us a little bit about your background, who you are, and just in case somebody doesn't know you, I know they're going to fall in love with you just like we do.
Oh, thanks. Okay, sure. Cliff Notes version. So I started carnivore December 27th, 2022. I was mostly because I wanted to lose weight. I had twins and about a year before, and the weight was just so slow in coming off. I'd lost like 21, 22 pounds, but I still had a ways to go. My husband had found Dr. Ken Berry's videos about 6 months before that. And my husband had lost 130 pounds using keto and fasting. And he kind of wanted to take it to the next level and do carnivore. But he told me about it and I was like, oh my God, that's insane. How can you get all of the vitamins and minerals you need just eating meat? Vegetables are good for you, all the standard, stuff. But we would watch Dr. Ken Berry's videos together, in the evening, and some of it kind of started to soak in. So after I tried it my way, I was doing the Noom app. So it was like high carb, medium protein, and low fat, 1,200 calories, the standard stuff. After trying it my way and not having a lot of success, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to give carnivore a try for 30 days. At that point, I had been wearing a continuous glucose monitor for about 3.5 months, and I was really curious to see how much my glucose would be affected going from, lots of fruits and vegetables and lean meats to carnivore. Very curious. I'm very data-driven over on my channel. I have a YouTube channel, and I do a lot of experiments and things like that. So this was kind of like my very first experiment. So I started on December 27th, 2022. I started before my husband, actually, which is funny and ironic. The boys were like a year old at that point. So I didn't want us both to have keto flu at the same time. And it didn't really matter because I ended up having keto flu for 6 weeks. We'll get into that in a minute. But the first month I was on carnivore, I ended up losing 8 pounds, which is a huge amount of weight for me. I have never lost that much weight using any other kind of way of eating. So I was kind of hooked. I also, with the continuous glucose monitor, I saw about a 20-point drop in my average glucose. It was in the high 90s, low 100s, and then it went down into the low 80s, which was incredible to me. So I was hooked. Decided to do it for another 30, and now it's been 2 years. 2 years on December 27th. And then, I had the YouTube channel before I started carnivore. It was more of a twin mom lifestyle channel. It's actually my third YouTube channel. And I released 2 videos on carnivore. I knew that carnivore videos were popular, but I didn't really realize how popular. I released a 30-day carnivore update and a 90-day carnivore update in June of 2023. And those videos just like blew up. So my channel evolved into just a carnivore channel. And now it's my full-time job. I do carnivore educational content. I do a lot of N of 1 experiments. So I'm just like doing an experiment on myself, and I'm doing blood work, DEXA scans, continuous glucose monitoring, continuous ketone monitoring, arterial scans, like tons of different tests just to kind of, shed some light on, what the carnivore diet actually does to your metabolic health. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there about meat and low carb diets and keto and carnivore in general. And I just want people to feel empowered. I want them to be able to read basic blood work. They should not have to, have a doctor do that. Of course, I'm not saying don't go to your doctor, but I'm saying like you should be able to know how to read an A1C, a comprehensive metabolic panel, a lipid panel, and things like that. So that's kind of like, honestly, when I started carnivore, I did not expect anything to happen, with the channel. That was just, that's just crazy to me, the way everything is kind of blown up. But as far as like benefits of just the carnivore diet, the reason I've stayed on carnivore for 2 years is there's just a myriad of benefits. I feel better. I love that I don't have to spend so much time in the kitchen. I can just eat a steak or eggs or bacon. It's so easy. I have lost, let's see, I think I've lost about 50 pounds now. Like I said, the improvements in glucose, I wasn't, pre-diabetic or anything. I think I was working my way towards that. But I did have some mental health stuff, and my anxiety is gone. My depression is gone. Inflammation gone. All of my markers are amazing. The simplicity is one of the biggest reasons, though, we stay on it. And my children are also animal based, so they do meat at every meal, fruit, tiniest bit of vegetable, tiniest bit of grain, and we'll throw in a little bit of the Kraft mac and cheese once in a blue moon. They'll have some McDonald's chicken nuggets once in a blue moon, but their main food source is whole, real food. And they just turned 3. They look like they're 4 or 5 year olds. They're already reading, like actually reading. They're just exceptional. So I am very happy I found this lifestyle for sure.
Well, I am very happy that you found it too, because that's the reason we got to meet. So
yeah, exactly.
It's been really great kind of getting to know you and getting to see you in person. And I have my fellow lionesses to thank for introducing me to your channel. I think it was you, Ellie, because I was talking about, I don't even know, something. It was a long time ago. I think your channel was about half the size that it is now, Jenny. And Ellie was like, oh, if you want to know about that, you got to check out this girl, Jenny Mitich, because she has all the data and you're going to love, the
awesome.
numbers and everything that she presents. And I was hooked ever since.
Oh, I love that.
So I want to put this comment up here. Michelle says, Jenny is awesome. She is the reason I tested my thyroid and found out I had Hashimoto's.
That's great. I mean, it sucks you have Hashimoto's, but also I'm glad you know, because that's the first step in healing,
Absolutely. And so I think you did all those things with your thyroid, getting everything tested, working with a specialist. Kind of after you had been on our show last, I would love for you to give us a recap because you
Yeah.
inspired me. Like I had my thyroid fully tested at my doctor. I have a different issue than you.
Okay.
But my original doctor tested like 2 numbers. And then she was like, I just want to talk about your cholesterol. And I was like, but, and so I really had to take it in my own 2 hands. And I credit you for kind of inspiring me to actually do it, you know?
That's awesome. I'm glad you did. Your doctor probably tested TSH and T4 because that's all conventional doctors are trained to test. They literally do not know how to read the other tests. So it's not really their fault. But this isn't like it's new information, testing your reverse T3 and your free T4 and your, TPO and all the antibodies and all the stuff. This stuff has been around for decades. So there are practitioners out there, but you have to find one. So for me, my Hashimoto's thyroid stuff popped up after I started carnivore. I think though it wasn't triggered by carnivore. I know it wasn't. It was triggered by my twin pregnancy and the fact that I'm older. I'm 40, and those 2 factors can kind of combine, and it's kind of like the perfect storm for hormonal shifts. So after I had the twins, maybe it started right then. I wasn't carnivore then, but I was tired. But I also had twin newborns. So I'm like, how would you be able to differentiate between, thyroid and that? But I started carnivore, and then in like April of 2023, so this is about 4 months in, I started losing a lot of my hair, like an excessive amount. My husband noticed it. I was like, oh, it's nothing. He's like, Jenny, you're losing a lot of hair. So I went to my doctor, had them test. All she would test was TSH. It was normal. It was like 1.0. And she was like, oh, you're fine. And I'm like, really? You can't like just do a full panel? And she's like, no, if your TSH is normal, I can't test anything else. She's like, maybe it's like long COVID, or maybe it's, and at that point I hadn't had COVID. So I'm like, it's not long COVID. And a few other things. And I'm just like, oh, geez, whatever. So I kept going on. The fatigue improved, the hair loss improved. I originally thought it was telogen effluvium triggered by an extreme weight loss and diet change paired with the pregnancy. But now I really think it was the Hashimoto's, and it kind of flared up a few times. I'd have some bouts of fatigue, and then it would get better, and then bouts of fatigue, and it would get better. And finally, I went to the Hack Your Health conference, and that's actually where we met, Cristie. I went to the Hack Your Health conference, and I saw a lecture by Dr. Amy Horniman, who is a thyroid specialist, an alternative practitioner. And I ended up going up to her afterwards to her booth and saying, hey, would you do a collaboration with me where I'll get my thyroid, my full panel tested. You just tell me what to test and we can go over it together. She was totally into it. She's super cool. So we did that in July or August, I think. And turns out I have Hashimoto's. My thyroid, the way you know you have Hashimoto's is because you have thyroid antibodies. So your TPO or your thyroglobulin antibodies, those both need to be 0. Otherwise, they can be indicative of Hashimoto's. And I think TPO antibodies were 14, which is relatively low. But the way that Dr. Amy described it, if you look at the reference range, it says if it's over 35, there's an issue. But the way she explained it was, if you have 14 soldiers attacking your thyroid, does it matter if there's 35 or 14? 14 still sucks. You know what I mean? So I was like, that makes a lot of sense. Because before I talked to her, I had no idea how to interpret a thyroid panel. There's not a lot of good information out there on what's optimal. And because most conventional doctors don't have the training, they don't really know either. I mean, in the UK, I don't think you can even test reverse T3. If I'm from my research now, it's insane. It's insane. So I learned how to read it from her. And I mean, that just started the journey. That was in July. And then I moved on to, I think we had to wait to do some more. No, I established a relationship with her her group. I had to pay out of pocket. It's not covered by insurance. I didn't get a special discount or anything because we're both, content creators. I paid out of pocket for all of this stuff, had to pay for all the testing. So we established that relationship. And I think I got my first round of tests with her group in September. And it was like $550 worth of tests, insane amount of tests. But we needed that done so then we could get me on some kind of medication. So at that point, I was already doing carnivore. I had cut dairy because dairy is highly inflammatory for people with Hashimoto's. I was eating really high fat. I was doing everything right, but I was still so wiped out. I couldn't function. And at this point, like, I had so much stuff going on. I had a family member in the hospital that I was caretaking for. I still had the twins. I got a book deal during that time. So I was trying to write a book and run the channel at the same time, and create all that content. So it's basically a second full-time job. But all that stuff is going on, I wake up exhausted. Like, not just because I have kids, that's just this, gaslighting bullcrap excuse that a lot of doctors like, oh, you're just tired because you have kids. Oh, you're just tired because you have, a full-time job, blah. No, this is different. It feels different. So I started taking T3 medication, I think liothyronine. It's just T3 because I think looking at my labs, I think I have a T4 conversion issue. So adding a T4 medication wouldn't necessarily do the trick. So we're starting with T3, very low dose, titrating up. I actually have blood work on Thursday to see what's going on with my thyroid. Like, is it effective? Do we need to up the dose and all that kind of stuff? I will say that, I also started a supplement regimen. So I'm doing selenium. I'd already been doing iodine, but I'm doing that. Vitamin D, a couple of Dr. Amy's supplements. There's a black cumin seed oil, and then there's a T2, pregnenolone, and a few others. So I've really been religious with that, and medication and exercise and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's everything I've been doing right now. I will say I feel better, not 100% yet. I've also been doing testosterone. My testosterone was low. So I do a very small injection of testosterone once a week. And yeah, I am feeling a bit better. I definitely have more energy, but I still kind of have that lingering tiredness. So I'm pretty sure we're probably going to be upping the T3 a little bit more. But man, I'm glad I found her, because if I hadn't found her, I would just still be thinking nothing's wrong, that I'm crazy, it's deeply disturbing to me. I say this in one of my videos, deeply disturbing to me that there's so many people out here in the world suffering from the same thing, because hypothyroid conditions, low thyroid conditions are very common. Very, very common, especially in our polluted world that we live in today for a multitude of reasons. But no one's getting the help they need. And just the fact that I have to pay thousands of dollars out of pocket when I pay thousands of dollars for health insurance, it's so annoying. It's like, come on, man, I'm just trying to feel better. I just think there's some issues with this condition, but it's been a roller coaster, and I had to learn it all myself.
You are so my sister from another mister. I'm also 40. I also have Hashimoto's. I'm also in love with Dr. Amy. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Have you guys checked your progesterone? I mean, every body is so different, but for me, adding the T3 it's like I'm a little bit more awake, but it wasn't like this just amazing thing I was hoping it was.
Yeah.
But when I got progesterone, it was like, I'm alive. And then when I optimized my insulin, even better.
Yeah, apparently my prednisone. Yeah, it was good. All of my female hormones were good. The only one that was out of whack was the testosterone. Very, very low. And I was hoping for that kind of like veil off the head moment of just like, I'm a new woman. I have not had that experience yet, but I do feel a little better. We're going to rerun all the tests. I don't know. probably in January or February, just to kind of see where we're at. And then, you know, I'm going to continue my relationship with her group. You can pay yearly to continue once you've done her 4-month program. And then they can continue prescribing, you know, and doing all that stuff. If I was to not continue that, I would just have to I'd have to find another group, and they already have all my records and all the stuff. So it's just kind of like, I'm just going to continue on and hopefully optimize it. But I don't know, maybe at some point we would need to throw that in, but so far, no, that tested okay.
Well, awesome. That is something I luckily have not had any experience with, but I will know if something goes awry because there is thyroid issues and problems within my family. So I'm like logging it all in my brain. But we do have a question from Carnivore Muscle, Jonathan. Why do you think medical professionals are usually so inept at properly diagnosing and testing for various ailments?
It's a really good question. Honestly, I just don't think they're trained to do that in a lot of cases. I think the way our medical system is set up is to prescribe pills, prescribe medicine. And I'm not saying medicine is bad. I'm so happy we live in 2024 that, well, almost 2025, that we have access to this amazing medical care that's out there. But, you know, the medical schools are also funded by big food and big pharma. And that's not just a conspiracy theory. You can go and look at the funding. And I just, unfortunately, a lot of them are just following their training. I feel like the ones that have followed their medical school training and realized like, wow, this isn't right. You know, I should be listening to these people's symptoms. That's the way thyroid disorders used to be diagnosed, was the doctor would listen to your symptoms and then blood work was kind of secondary. Whereas nowadays, it's like all they do is test TSH and maybe T4. My doctor would not test T4. And then even with your symptoms, they're just like, oh, well, that number is within range, so it's nothing. That's not the way it should be. Unfortunately, that's just a systemic issue that needs to be completely overhauled. And they need to be trained differently. It's not their fault, though. They're just going off of the training they have, you know?
Yeah, even when the doctor tested pretty much all my thyroid numbers, I mean, she missed a couple, but it was like everything was in range. But I'm like, but my symptoms though. And so I still kind of have to take it on. I can't afford Dr. Amy at the moment. I would love to be able to, but I've been taking like a desiccated beef thyroid, which has been helping me get my energy up a little bit. I didn't test, it's not Hashimoto's, but I feel like I have, you know, some low thyroid symptoms for sure.
Sure.
And my T3 was not, it was in the normal range, but like at the bottom. And in watching your video with Dr. Amy, she said she prefers it to be like in the top third of the range. So I'm like, well, maybe if I can get that T3 number up, that'll be the ticket. So and that's kind of,
it sucks that you have to do that on your own. You know, like why do we have to do this on our own? It's incredibly frustrating. The thing about the interview with Dr. Amy that was just so eye-opening for me is just how open she was and just willing to teach. And I love that. Like everything that she's learned, she's very passionate about helping people. So we went through each marker and like, what should the range be and all of that kind of stuff. Because she's looking at it more from a functional medicine perspective. And when you're looking from a functional medicine perspective, you're looking more for optimal ranges as opposed to just okay. You know, reference ranges in general for blood work are based on the population that's getting the blood work done. And most people that are getting blood work done are sick. So you don't necessarily want to be in the, you know, reference range. It's really interesting. And she really, I understand thyroid panels now. She helped me to understand them to where now I can look at mine and I'm empowered. And that's what I want to do on my YouTube channel. That's what I do is I just want people to be able to look at something, be empowered to at least then kind of know where they need to go next. Whereas before, when I looked at a panel, it was like reading a foreign language. I'm like, what am I supposed to be looking at here? So that was one of the biggest things I learned this year was how to interpret a thyroid panel, you know?
I'm going to pop this question up from Janice. Janice was our roar of the week this week. So, hey, Janice. She's asking, how long would you recommend a woman should be on a carnivore diet before getting your thyroid checked? I have been on Synthroid for 15 years and I don't think it ever made me feel better.
I mean, I think so. In general, when I'm looking at blood work, I say, I think everyone should get baseline before they start, just so we can know where we're going, unless you're getting yearly blood work anyways, and then you can just use that as your baseline. But I always say after like 6 months is probably a good time because everything's kind of evened out. But for thyroid, I would want to know right away what's going on and then retest in like 3 months, because you want to see if the carnivore, the high fat diet is maybe helping improve your, like if you have antibodies, things like that. I would probably just get the full thyroid panel right away. On ownyourlabs.com, I think it's like $175 for all of them, all of the blood tests, and you can use my discount code for 10% off. So, like $160 to get all of them run. I would probably just do it right away. The thing though, you're on Synthroid. So if you end up going and getting blood work done, that's a T4 and a T3 medication, but it's synthetic, is it not? Just T4. Okay. But it's a synthetic T4. You need to stop taking that for 2 to 3 days before the blood work. Otherwise, your blood test results are going to be skewed. So be sure to do that before you take the tests. If you're taking it, for anyone out there that's only taking T3 medication, you need to stop that 24 to 36 hours before the test. And then you just take the blood work and then you just take your medicine again. But if you haven't had any results and you've been on it for that long, yeah, I would definitely get it checked out. But you have to work with a practitioner that knows what they're talking about. There's tons of them out there, but you have to search for them because then they can help you with, adjusting your medication, dosaging, what supplements you should be taking, hormones, like Adrian was saying, like there's, female and male hormones that could also need to be optimized. There's just so much, it's so nuanced. So you really do need to work with a knowledgeable practitioner as well, I think.
And I'm going to guess yours isn't knowledgeable because only 2% of people benefit from T4. It actually makes it worse.
Mm-hmm.
So they have you on, like there's a 98% chance you're on the wrong medicine. Not a doctor.
Yeah, that is 100% true.
But this is like one of my favorite questions. I love you, Nia. Do you feel the medical industry being for profit makes them biased only to promote what will make them the most money?
I mean, yeah, that's inherent. You don't know how many times we've gone to the doctor with my husband and they just push statins on him, statin. We continuously say, no, thank you. And they just keep pushing it. They're incentivized to prescribe. And it's sad, but it's just the way it is for now. And, hopefully things will change. It's just, the medical industry is such a behemoth. Like, where would you even start? What are you going to start with? The medical schools, but the medical schools are all funded by big food and big pharma. So what, would you have to just get them out of there? How would you do that? How would you even work with looking on our TVs? There's commercials for drugs. Only here, and I think New Zealand are the only 2 countries where you can advertise drugs on TV. That's insane. It's just such a huge issue. I don't even know where we would start to fix it. I don't think it's hopeless. I don't think anything is hopeless. I think it can be fixed, but it would take a very long time, and it would take some very forward-looking, altruistic people in government and legislation for sure, but also just in the medical industry. And when they're incentivized with all this money, it's kind of hard. When your job, when your paycheck depends on you, believing a certain thing, you believe it. Most of the time. There's, of course, some very ethical people out there too, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Don't unsubscribe from this, but I used to work for United Healthcare. And that's the first thing I would get rid of is health insurance, because they collect a percentage of our premium. They collect a percentage of our services. If we have no services, they have no premiums, they have nothing to collect. They get to decide what drugs we take. They get to decide what
Mhm.
surgeries we have.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that. That's just the problem with how would you get rid of all health insurance? Our whole system is built on it, Like I'm so thankful we have our health insurance. We pay off, we pay through the roof for it, but we can go to any hospital anywhere in the United States because we both travel so much, and that has been very helpful for us, but it's expensive. It's expensive, man. Ugh, it's tiring to
Totally agree with that. It is tiring. It's so tough sometimes with life where you have to juggle all these things. Be like, okay, I have so much money for this and that. I
Mhm.
definitely appreciate that you try to tackle that question because it is a big one. Maybe we'll see some change this year. But Nia has a
Maybe.
question. She says, curious about your thoughts on the idea that carnivore reveals the root cause for people versus causes, things like hormone imbalances, deficiencies, gut problems, etc. Thanks.
That's a great question. This makes me think of Judy Cho. And she talks all the time about root cause issues. And I think sometimes people just want to blame carnivore for everything because it's easy. But carnivore is also not a magic bullet. It's not going to solve all of your problems. I think eating a carnivore diet, it definitely improves a lot of things. And for some people, it will improve everything. But if you have like Lyme disease, it's not going to solve Lyme. You need to do other things. If you have SIRS, if you're exposed to mold, you cannot, carnivore will be very helpful for the inflammation and all that kind of stuff, but you still have to remove what's causing it in the first place. So unfortunately, we live in such a polluted world, water damaged everything, bromide in everything, food dyes and fluoride in our water, and all the stuff that a lot of people think is conspiracy theories. It's really not. I am not a conspiracy theorist. Okay. I am consider myself to be very level-headed on things. And I have a book sitting right over here about fluoride. It's horrible. I've been filtering it out of my water for years before I started carnivore. I figured that out in like 2015. It's garbage, So we're surrounded by all of this stuff. So if you do carnivore, okay, great. You're still going to be surrounded by all that stuff. So we have to figure out how to navigate the polluted world in which we live, eliminate the things that we can eliminate, not freak out about everything. We can't eliminate everything. And then when we get to the root cause of some issues or figure out like, oh, okay, this hormone imbalance, like for me, I need testosterone. Carnivore is not going to do that. I'm a female. I'm not like a dude. I'm not just going to make testosterone. I make enough, but not enough. I have to add that. And in doing so, I'm getting to optimal health. So I think, when people blame carnivore, like, oh, it caused all that. It's like, no, I don't think so. I think it was always there. But just you're becoming so much healthier that now your body can focus on, oh, okay, now I can kind of like reveal the other things that's going on. Whereas before you were in total crisis mode all the time because of the food you were eating, Yeah. That's my thoughts on that.
Well, I wanted to kind of change the subject just a touch because, again, I love all the experiments you do. I personally recently did my first fat fast. It was 3 days.
Yeah.
I know. I was like, I learned a lot, but this show isn't about me. I know you are currently doing something with Carnivore Bar, and I would love to hear more about that. My husband even knows. My husband brought it up to me. I was like, how do you know what Jenny Mitich is over there doing?
That's hilarious. I'm doing carnivore bars. It's a pemmican. It's just, tallow, grass-fed beef, Redmond real salt, and then like raw honey if you do a honey one. I was curious. I've been doing a lot of experiments on my channel recently with sardines, but I love carnivore bars. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try to do 14 days where I only eat carnivore bars. So I'm on day 13 right now. Tomorrow is my last day. It's been going really well. I've had a couple of interesting issues pop up, and nothing that has had to, cause me to stop eating them. And I've been doing updates on Instagram, daily updates on Instagram and TikTok. I'm doing a full results video on YouTube once I'm done. So I got blood work done to start. I got a DEXA scan to start. I'm really interested to see if there's any body composition changes. And then I've been measuring with my continuous glucose monitor and a continuous ketone monitor from SciBio. That's not available in the United States yet. I've done a review video on it. I really can't wait until they are, because it's like a game changer to be able to continuously monitor your ketones. It's been great. So those are the measurement methods. I've been eating anywhere between like 2 to 5, averaging 3 to 4. A couple of days I just did 2. It's not, I wouldn't say it's been difficult to do. I do miss food. Gorn's doing a water fast right now, my husband. So this is kind of like I'm doing it in solidarity with him. It's been nice not having to do dishes. But I do miss food for sure. We've been planning out what we're going to be eating because we're going into another fast on the 26th. So we're going to eat from the 19th to the 25th. And then we're doing another 14-day fast, a different one. This isn't really fasting though. So here's the thing with the carnivore bar. I'm eating food, but it mimics the effects of a water fast. So my ketones have been through the roof. I think like 2.0 to like a 6.1 have been my ketones the past few days. Glucose in the 60s and 70s. Right now I am freezing and it's 72 degrees in this house because I have 0 Krebs. I'm just like, I'm in deep ketosis right now. Brain has been really clear. I ran into one issue. I hadn't been working out because I've been working on my book, and I finally finished the first manuscript so I could make it back to the gym. And I did a full real workout 2 days in a row. So some strength training, Stairmaster, sauna, and I did a 2-mile walk in the morning. And what was it? Day 11, I ended up, my glucose went really low, like hypoglycemic, almost like 40 to 44. And I was getting alerts from my phone, like, you're going to die. I'm like, I'm okay. So I ate 2 carnivore bars at once and it still was just like blah. So I ended up having a chai latte at this Christkindl market, this German Christmas market we go to every year. And then I felt better because there's just tons of sugar. You can see the glucose spike. It was like drastic, but I felt better. But I think what the problem was is when you're fasting or eating, very low calorie, it's really hard to do a hard workout. And I think I had sapped my glucose reserves in my muscles and I had not replenished them. So I think my body was just like, why, but overall, that's the only part that was not good. The rest has been really good. So yeah, interesting. I'm just curious to see what happens. I put these posts up on Instagram and TikTok, and some people, they didn't see like the first video where I talk about where it's an experiment. So I've kind of been reiterating that because some people are like, why don't you just eat a steak? They're like, why are you doing this? I'm like, it's for science because I want to know. Yeah, it's been good. It's been fun.
What's very interesting to me is that I have post-gastric bypass hypoglycemia.
Mm-hmm.
And if I get it and I eat a honey carnivore bar or the apple, which I'll ask you about in a second, it actually brings my blood sugar up just a touch because that touch of sugar, but that encasing of that fat levels it out where everything else, if you ask a doctor, they'll tell you, eat sugar. And if I do that, I'll come up. And then I'll spike right back down. But the fat around that just like levels me out. And so if anybody out there is a type 1, type 2 diabetic, post-gastric bypass, like this is what to have in your pocket, not the sugar cubes they tell you to have, but
100%.
Yeah,
I think where I ran into the issue was I let it go too long. I hadn't eaten at all for like 24 hours at that point. And I had 2 bars a day before. I should have started my day with a carnivore bar after those hard workouts, but lesson learned. I didn't even think about it. I was feeling great until I wasn't. And I'm like, oh, snap.
I get so many questions. I know that this isn't carnivore, but did you try the apple?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They sent me a sample pack and I actually just ate the final one yesterday.
So good. It's the best part that they've ever made.
So good.
This is the part where I'm confused about this fast though. And I would love for them to sponsor me to do the same fast. That sounds like so much fun.
They didn't sponsor me. I paid out of pocket for all of these.
You did?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
You must be broke. I'm just kidding. I love carnivore.
I'm very poor. I took advantage of the Black Friday special. But no, I paid out of pocket for, I've had a few samples. I get a sample because I'm an affiliate once a month. It's 6 bars. But I bought 2 24 packs and got 2 free 6 packs with the Black Friday deal. Yeah, I spend about $600.
So my two questions are, number one, sorry for asking two questions, Ellie, Cristie, but number one is, I never seem to get full. I feel like I could eat 6 bars. Did
Oh,
you
yeah.
ever just try to eat as many bars as you could and just see how many you could get in there? And then number two, I don't understand, with it being so high calorie, how is this mimicking a fast?
Yeah, great questions. I have not tried to stuff my face with carnivore bars because they are so expensive. I would love that though. So I don't know. I don't get full. I just get satisfied. I'll have, like I said, today I've only had 2.5. I'm working my way through my 3rd honey salted. I've only done honey today because I did a workout. But yeah, no, I think I could probably eat 5 or 6 and then feel like I have had way too much to eat. Maybe, I don't know. As far as the fasting aspect of it, I've also run into this with sardine fasts. It's still very low calorie. Okay, so a honey salted or the regular salted, it's 400 to 420 calories. It's mostly fat, so all of that's being converted into ketones. You've got enough protein that you're doing kind of a protein sparing modified slightly. You're getting enough protein to maintain your muscle mass. And then 7 grams of carbs for a 7, for one of these honey salted, that's nothing. That's nothing. It doesn't, I've had maybe 2 instances in this 14 days where the honey salted spiked my blood sugar by maybe 20 points. Most of the time it's nothing. There's not even a blip. So even with the sardines, same thing. You're eating enough to where you don't feel, when you're doing a water fast, you're just like, oh God, I'm so starving the first 3 days. And then that evens out. With these, you're just always eating, but not a lot. I mean, I'm eating between 800 and maybe 1,600 calories per day with an average of, let's just say 1,200. That's nothing. It's mostly fat. So it's just everything is converting into the ketones. And I think that is one of the reasons why you go into such a deep fat burning mode on a sardine fast or with this carnivore bar fast. Sardine fast would be cheaper. That's for damn sure. Even with the discounts, these works out to like $10 or $11 per bar. So it's not, I'm not doing it to encourage people like, oh, do this for weight loss or whatever. I just want to see what happens on the, metabolic health end. But yeah, I mean, it's wild to me that it mimics the effects of a water fast. I mean, my husband is in a water fast right now and he has the same thing, really high ketones, really low glucose, but he hasn't eaten anything. And I get to eat delicious carnivore bars. So I'm happy.
I just want to say it's awesome because it's so nutritious. Like your body is absorbing all of that because the meat is all what is it? Freeze-dried meat. And then
it's
you've
dehydrated.
Fat.
Yep.
It's dehydrated.
Yeah, I think so.
That's
That's how I make my pemmican. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I love me a carnivore bar, but I definitely think that I like what Cristie said. What did you say, Cristie? That it's self-limiting because of the price. I want to pull your comment up because it was just too funny.
Yeah,
now I can't find it, but yeah, it was so funny. But speaking of fasting, Aaron had a question. How long are you going to do your sardine fast this time? Have you considered wrapping anchovies around your sardines?
Ooh, that sounds excellent, Aaron. I need to write that down. So the next sardine fast is going to be 14 days. I've done 3, 4, 7, and 10-day sardine fasts. So the next one is 14. I'm working my way up to doing a 1 month. But I also, it's the timing of things, so like right now we have the holidays. Otherwise I would keep going with the carnivore fast. If we have our Slava on the 19th, which is just like a Serbian, patron saint day. It's just a dinner party, but we're going to eat. And then we have Christmases. If we didn't have these holidays, I probably would try to go a full month on the carnivore bar, but you kind of have to work around things. So now we have another, from the 26th to January 8th, we have another chunk of 14 days where I can do a fast. So that's where we're going next. I have not ever wrapped anchovies around my sardines, but I would be happy to try because that sounds delicious. I love anchovies. I love anchovies more than I love sardines, actually. So I'll have to give that a shot. But yeah, 14 days. It's going to be great. It's not going to be as fun as this one, honestly. I like these more than I like sardines, but I can tolerate sardines.
So you, my friend, are writing a book. You mentioned it earlier in the show, and I've known for, I don't know, a few months now that you've been writing said book, and I'm so excited for it.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I think your audio went out. Is that me or you? Me or Cristie? Cristie.
It's Cristie.
So I'll ask the question. Can you tell us about your book and what's going on with that? We'd love an update.
Sure. So yes, I got a book deal, signed it on July 3rd. It is, so I got this random email in June from a company, and they said, hey, have you ever considered writing a cookbook? And I said, it's so funny I got this email because I had just told my husband 2 weeks before, like, I will never write a cookbook. That sounds horrible. I'd been talking to Courtney Luna, and she was just talking about how difficult it really is. I'm just like, oh, that just does not sound like fun. But I got this email and I looked up the publishing company, and I've actually got a bunch of their books on my bookshelf, and they make beautiful books. Beautiful thick paper and full color, and just like, they published Dr. Sean Baker's book, Dr. Ken Berry's book, Courtney's book. So I was like, I'll take the meeting, and we had a talk, and they were just so amazing. The company was founded by an author who was kind of sick of the big publishing houses screwing authors over. So he made his own publishing house, and you can just tell the team is amazing and all that kind of stuff. So I ended up, talking to them, but a few meetings. I really didn't want to write just a cookbook. I'm not a chef. I make recipes recipe videos on YouTube for my viewers just because they request, something different. If in my daily life, I eat beef, butter, bacon, and eggs most of the time. I'm very boring, very boring. But what I did want to write was a complete in-depth guide to the carnivore diet. And the way they found me was through my almost hour-long video, the complete in-depth guide to the carnivore diet video. So they were open to it. So we finally settled on doing both. So it's called Complete Carnivore. It's a complete in-depth guide to the carnivore diet, like complete. We have chapters like the actual guide, and then like what to expect your first month or two, how to monitor your progress. All of the blood work stuff that we just discussed is like all of the ways that you can monitor your progress is in there. Troubleshooting, FAQs, like testimonials, like run the gamut of just all this different stuff. That's the first half of the book. Second half of the book is 80 recipes. So it's like, it's like 2 books in one. It's a lot of work. I did not know how much work it was to write a book. I always wanted to write a book, but I didn't know that this was going to be like the first one. It kind of just came out of nowhere, but it's been a good process. Like I said, the team is amazing. I just finished writing the first manuscript on the 12th. So I'm like, I have time again to like go lollygag, I guess. Like, what the hell was I doing before I was writing this book? It's been a long, long time that I've had, that I've had any free time, but now we have to go into the editing process. So that will take probably a couple of months. And then we will go into, once it's solid and, fully proofed and there's not a mistake in it, then they will do printing, and then it's distribution. And that takes a couple of months. So we're hoping the tentative release date is April 29th of next year. We'll see if that, moves forward or back, depending on how fast we can edit and all that stuff. But yeah, it's been great. It's been fun. It's going to be, I'm really excited for it to come out. I think it's going to help a lot of people. And I think for some people, just having it in your hand, a guide in your hand, that's really easy to understand. Like I really tried to write it in a voice that was for every person. I don't want people to be coming to this book and feel intimidated. I want them to be able to feel empowered so that they can be successful. Because if we can get everybody to be healthy, can you imagine in America where like we're all healthy, metabolic syndrome is gone, diabetes is a thing of the past, type 2 at least, and I just imagine the kind of ideas that we can have, like when you're sick, you can't do anything else. You're just sick, right? You're just wiped out. You're mentally blah. When you feel good, you can do just so many things. So that's kind of the world that I envision. I know that's very Very optimistic, but I think we can get there. And I'm hoping that this book will help a lot of people regain their health.
I just want to check. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. My earbuds died. And as they were dying, I think my microphone just decided not to cooperate. I just wanted to mention, you wrote a whole book, Jenny. I've never written a book, thought about writing a book, but I wrote a short testimonial for your book. And I was like, yeah, I now know I don't. Kudos to you and Courtney, because just writing that, right, and making sure that it was, how I wanted it to sound.
You cracked me up. That was like a page.
It was like a page. I know you guys so bad. I'm gonna say it's because I'm a teacher all day, and that's why.
You know what though? That's true. That's true. I mean, when you do that for a job, it's just it's not a very life-giving thing to have to then write a bunch of stuff. I've always loved writing. I was a big journaler growing up. I read voraciously, and they go hand in hand. Yeah, I've got, a lot of books that I would like to write, but now that I've been through the actual writing process, I mean, that turnaround, 5 months, basically turnaround from start to end of first manuscript, that's very fast. This would typically take a couple of years, but we're really trying to get this book out because carnivore is really starting to explode in popularity. It's like right on the cusp, I think. I mean, it's already pretty popular where like when we talk about it in public, a lot of people are like, oh, carnivore, I've heard of that. But it's really starting to grow in popularity. And there needs to be something on the market, for people to learn about it and get the correct information about it too. You know what I mean? Like that's another thing that I was really was really important to me, was making sure that people are getting the right information about carnivore, because there's so much misinformation out there about it.
I don't know how you do it. So you're writing a book, you've got 2 hit YouTube channels. Could you tell us a little bit about your coaching and about your t-shirt?
Yeah, coaching. So I started doing one-on-one coaching earlier this year. I have a carnivore community where it's just, it's on Circle. So we got it off of Facebook. It was on Facebook originally. And there's just some people out there that just need a little bit of help. I think it's good to have somebody that you can talk to that has experience, just to kind of dial in a few things. Most of the time, that's all people need. One session, come in, talk about like what they need to tweak, what tests they can get done and stuff. And then they're good to go. And that's really all they need. And then there's some people that need a little bit more guidance, and, you can meet as often as you want. But yeah, that's been really fun. Honestly, I really like working with people on a personal level. That's one of the coolest things about this YouTube channel is I've been able to meet so many cool people and become friends with people. I would have never met you guys in any other way. That's pretty cool. So yeah, coaching is super fun. I just opened up some coaching hours for December. I haven't been able to do much coaching the past few months because I've literally just been working from dawn until I go to bed on the book and the channel. Sure. So this is my carnivore diet definition t-shirt. I just launched a carnivore apparel brand. It's JennyMitich.shop. We have 5 different designs right now. There's t-shirts, sweatshirts. I love that doormat is hilarious. Tote bags, shower curtains. There's stuff for kids, little onesies and stuff. So yeah, I was searching online for carnivore t-shirts. If you just Google that, carnivore t-shirts, there's all these things that popped up that were just kind of like lame, I wanted something that looked cool, something that like you could wear anywhere. With a fun design, so the BBB&E, I love that design, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. I have an excellent graphic designer that has come up with these designs. So yeah, I now call these my uniform. I wear a different one in every video because it fits with my brand. But yeah, they're available now. Oh, and use code RIBEYE15 for 15% off your order. That code is good all the time, but make sure you use it because you want to save some money.
Okay, sorry, I was doing all the links. Okay, so are we ready to roar? I feel like we should do it. You want to lead us.
Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
Yes,
did
because we
need to
have a
talk
short
about our
announcement
next couple
too.
of weeks?
What's happening?
Go ahead, Cristie.
I was just gonna say we need to roar, and I love roaring. I'm so glad Jenny loves roaring
I love
too. But after we roar, we have an announcement to make about the next couple of weeks and what's going to be going on with the show. So
Cool.
we gotta get this roar in. Go for it,
Okay,
Adrian.
everybody, get your roars ready. If you could put them in the chat, we'll pop them up on the screen. And ready? 3, 2, 1. Roar!
I love it.
Well, I just wanted to thank you, Jenny, so much for coming on
Yeah.
again. I think we could you might be our first triple guest. I feel
Will,
I love talking
anytime.
to you
I will
every
come onto your
time.
show anytime you want.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for watching us. We just wanted to say that as we approach this holiday season, we wanted to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for being a part of this incredible journey. Life as moms is always changing, but one thing that hasn't changed is our mission, spreading the message of healing through lifestyle changes. To give us all time to enjoy the holidays, we'll be taking a 2-week break and will not have live shows on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve.
That's
Smart.
right, but don't worry. We'll still be here in spirit. During our usual time slot, we'll premiere 2 of our favorite episodes from the past, and it's a great chance to revisit some amazing conversations with past guests who've roared alongside us. So we're so grateful for every Lioness host who's joined us on this mission and brought their energies, their stories, and passions to the show.
And a huge thank you to all the inspiring guests we've had on Lioness Lifestyle Live. Your bravery and wisdom have made such a difference, and we can't wait to collaborate with you again in the future. To our pride out there, enjoy the holidays with your loved ones.
And don't forget, we will be back live on January 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern, ready to kick off the new year with fresh episodes and exciting conversations. Mark your calendars, and while you're at it, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you'll get notifications and never miss an episode, because we cannot wait to see you all then in the new year.
Okay, so until then, we wish you a holiday season filled with peace and joy and heartfelt moments. Thank you for being a part of this pride.
Stay strong, stay inspired, and keep healing, and we'll see you in the new year.
Bye, everybody.